Hello and welcome back to days 55 through 80 of How to Fix the World in 80 Days, and this will probably be the last one. Now, I've been pretty consistent, but I'm gonna cheat a bit here at the end because I'm super tired of editing and I have other projects to work on, so this series has run its course. With that being said, I'm too proud to not finish my list, so I feel like I can compromise by hammering out all these last 25 subjects in just one video. It might not be as eloquent or researched as the first 55, but hopefully it's enough to get my point across. So without further ado, here are days 55 through 80. 55, science. It's time to stop calling people nerds. Winning a Nobel Prize should be just as cool as a Grammy or an Oscar. Science is the future. 56, medication. In a 2015 government study, 45% of Americans admitted to using some kind of prescription drug over the past year. Canada and the UK were pretty similar. So either we have a much bigger health problem on our hands than we ever imagined, or some doctors are a bit more interested in getting rich than they are in fulfilling their Hippocratic oath. 57, natural resources. Two things here. First, now that we know we have alternative energy sources, wouldn't it make sense to start transitioning to the ones that make less pollution? And secondly, for all you people saying that we need to stop pipelines or cut off oil cold turkey, once you can explain to me how we can transition from this current grid to an alternative energy source without shutting down the whole country, then I'll listen. 58, robots. I know they're gonna take people's jobs and that sucks, but there's no way we can slow down the progress of science. So I suggest that we set the rules now before it's too late, because AI is coming at us faster than the law can even keep up. 59, weather. If we could artificially manipulate the weather to stop or divert a natural disaster, should we do it? I'm sure people are trying to figure it out now, so should we let them? 60, international relations. It's time to stop looking at other countries as competition and start seeing them as allies. We tend to overcomplicate politics. We really have more in common than we do apart. 61, food. We all know that without food, we die. So why is it that 815 million people around the world are considered undernourished? Should food be considered a human right? And if so, what concrete actions are we going to take to make sure that happens? 62, tribalism. I could be considered a lot of things, white, male, privileged, whatever, but above all else, I am still a human being. So you can love your tribe as much as you want, but don't forget that underneath all that, we are 99.5% genetically similar. 63, local business. We all complain that jobs are going overseas or that companies are too big to fail, but then we go shop at Walmart or Starbucks. If we really want our neighborhoods to be better off, spend money in your neighborhood. 64, euthanasia. I can't believe this is even an issue. If you want to kill yourself, who should have the right to make that decision but you? Sick or not, your life is your goddamn choice. 65, vocabulary. I see people do this all the time. They argue over the same word that means something completely different to each of them. Yes, we're both speaking English, but we have completely different life experiences. So the way that we interpret that word might be completely different. Now, instead of yelling at people or spamming their social media, why don't we give them a chance to explain themselves? 66, taxes. People need to stop worrying about how much tax they're paying and start asking themselves, am I getting good value for my tax? If I spent, for example, 80% of my income on taxes, but I got to live every day of my life like I was on a Caribbean all-inclusive resort, would I even really care that much? 67, bureaucracy. Speaking of getting good value for your taxes, bureaucracy would be a great place to start. Most government employees get paid relatively well compared to their peers in the private sector. But you do know that your reputation is awful, right? What are you going to do about that? 68, Indigenous rights. This is obviously an important issue in Canada because statistically, many Indigenous groups are struggling, but one question that would help me understand any future direction for the right policy is, how much do you want to stay connected to your traditional way of life versus how much do you want to assimilate with what the rest of the country is doing? I want to help, I just don't really know how. 69, gender. I don't care what gender you are, we will never be 100% equal. With that being said, a woman is equally as valuable as a man, who's equally valuable as whatever else it is people are calling themselves these days. 70, crown corporations. The very idea of government running for-profit enterprise just doesn't sit well with me. Maybe there are a few that make sense, but in general, we should avoid crown corporations at all costs. 71, traffic. I love driving, but I hate driving anywhere near other people because every time I do, people do dumb shit. We either need to accept that cars must drive themselves, or we need to stop driving as much because the traffic is only going to get worse. 72, LGBTQI, whatever other letters of the alphabet. Same as gender, you are equally as valuable as any other human being. I don't care what you call yourselves, do whatever makes you happy, just don't expect me to pay for it. 73, corporate welfare. As people struggle financially, it's really frustrating to watch billion-dollar companies get million-dollar handouts. Can our governments ever be trusted not to make decisions that favor mostly their well-placed, wealthy friends? I don't know, but more transparency would be a great place to start. 74, police. We're supposed to feel relieved when the police show up, but some people are legitimately afraid of them. At the same time, we need to stop treating the police like they're the enemy, because most of them are not. Both sides have some issues to work on here. 75, sex. People enjoy some really different stuff. Some people are really open, some people are really not. So if you're ever not 100% sure, not a bad idea to ask first. 76, exercise. If you want to be unhealthy or some kind of fitness nut, go ahead, do whatever makes you happy. Don't let anyone tell you what you need to look like. Just don't forget that some exercise is not about fitness, it's really just about being functional. 77, black market. Obviously, some things should never be legal, like murder, extortion, human trafficking, that kind of stuff, but some of the black market we can easily take back. Gambling, prostitution, drugs, this stuff is going to happen anyway. We might as well tax it. 78, government oversight. Never trust a politician or a business who says we need less taxes. Yes, sometimes oversight is expensive, but clearly we've shown that we can't be trusted, can we? 79, traveling. Have you ever noticed that most racists have never left their own area code? Maybe there's a correlation there. For better or worse, the world is an interesting place, and I'm looking forward to seeing as much of it as I can. And finally, number 80, find your own way. I covered a lot of ground with these subjects, but it's still not even close to all the issues in the world. The only way for that to really happen is for people to care enough to talk about what's important to them. So how would you make the world a better place? That's all I ever really wanted with this series, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed at least some of it, and definitely watch out for my app, which should be coming out soon for iPhone and Android. So this series might be over, but INaction is just beginning.